This is Sis Up. We are live. We are on the app. We are here on the radio waves. And tonight is going to be another powerhouse night. And this is Girl Boss Guide to Launching a Successful Business. Okay, I know there are some of you that already have businesses. If you're an entrepreneur, go ahead and say me in the chat, okay? If you're an entrepreneur. But then I also know there are others who have been thinking about starting their own business, thinking about maybe creating something. They always wanted to own their business. Maybe you want to work for yourself and you don't want to continue being in corporate. You don't want to continue doing whatever job that you're in. This is the night for you. This is the show for you. And you may even have some friends. Go ahead and send them a link. Go ahead and poke them and say, hey, you all need to get into the room tonight because I have a special guest with me coming onto the show, Dr. Tanya T. Wise. But before I bring her on, I wanted to share a couple of statistics. When we talk about, this is Up, Sis Up. So this is about women who are rising up. This is about women who are speaking up. And this is about women who are what? Bossing up, both in life and in leadership. And so I wanted to share this statistic. In the world, in the United States, 22% of small businesses are run by women, with 17% of Black women who are starting their own business. And there's another statistic that says that the African-American woman, we are opening up businesses at a faster pace lately compared to some of our counterparts. And so there's a reason why. And I'm going to bring on my very special guest, Tanya T. Wise. But before she comes, I'm going to share just a little bit about who she is. Dr. Tanya T. Wise. She is a sought-after international keynote speaker. She is a coach. She is a money strategist, and she's also a consultant. And she is the most compelling, charismatic, and captivating voices in motivational speaking today. She's the champion of personal and financial empowerment and advocacy for women for over 3 decades and has become a leading authority in the areas of financial literacy, entrepreneurship, time management, and leadership principles. So without further ado, Dr. Tanya, come to the stage. How are you? Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me, Dr. Marcea. You know what I like to say, level up, level up.
Level up, level up. All right, that's what I'm talking about. Dr. Tanya, I know I gave a little bit about who you are, but I want you just to address those that are in this room. Just kind of share a little bit more about you. What do you want people to leave knowing about you?
What I want people to know is that through adversity, through statistics, you can still be the person you want to be. So I was a teenage mom, a high school dropout, and I put myself back through school. I went to night school. I also put myself through college. I have no student loan debt. And that's when I realized that I was an ordinary person doing something extraordinary. And I helped all my friends manage their finances. And so I knew it was something special about numbers and Tanya. And so I like to let people know you don't have to be the next statistic. You don't have to be on social services if you don't choose to. Every odd that come across could have came across, but I kept on pushing and persevering. And now you see in front of my name, Dr. Tanya T. Wise. So I went from high school dropout to Dr. Tanya T. Wise.
That is amazing. One is congratulations. And I love it because when we are real, when we are transparent, when we are saying, you know what, this is my story, but it's not only a story, but it's a blueprint. It's a roadmap. It's hope. It's encouragement for someone else to say, you know what, that was me. That is me. And now I can get over. I can move and I can be successful. I can, as you say, not be a statistic, and that there's success at the end of of the struggle. So again, congratulations on your achievements.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So I want to just ask you right quick. We're gonna go right here. When you talk about owning your own business, sometimes I think there's two camps. There's the first camp of, yeah, let's go do this, let's do this, right? But then there's also the camp that says, oh, can I do this? Can I do this? Can you address that? I'm gonna call it that elephant in the room of can I do this?
And so I feel that we were all born with talents. And being in the right environment is going to enhance the talents that we have, and then we can monopolize off of those talents. So I believe that there is a business in every one of us, but being in the right environment is what's going to birth those talents or not. So I look at that and I like to equate that with the goldfish. You know, many of us had a goldfish. We went to the carnival, and how long does that goldfish last, right? Because we don't really know a lot about fish. But if you take that same goldfish, do you know how wide and big a goldfish can be in the ocean? And I feel that that's the same thing with an environment. That's why I love Girl Boss Life, because being in that environment, being around other boss women, we can birth other boss women.
That's good. You're talking about being in the right environment. And so I want to add, maybe if I could, I want to add one more element. So there is the right environment, but then I also think that there's a timing. And then I also think that there is they get that place where it says courage over fear. There's that tilt where you say, you know what, I've been doing this too long and I'm ready to jump out. I need to do something different because I can't do this anymore. Can you speak to those additional factors?
Absolutely. So you actually said it. It's about timing, right? So once you know that there's something in you that you're called to do greater, to do more, that has to be nurtured. And so once that's nurtured, you start automatically manifesting those environments. So when you're in those environments, it's like an automatic factor that it'll start happening. Now, whether you adhere to it or not is the key factor. And most people don't, because they fear being in boss. They fear being able to monopolize off of their talents and their skills. And then most of us get into these businesses and we don't know our worth. So we don't charge the right amount. We don't charge the for our services. And so it goes into a lot of different variables once you're in the environment and you get started. So one of the things that I like to talk about is me being good with numbers. I would help people purchase cars. I would help people with their taxes and all these different elements, right? But I would do it for free.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until I was in the right environment that I was like, wait a minute, I need to start putting a price tag on these very things. So I think a lot of times we don't necessarily answer the call that we know that's on our life. We know that we're good at something. So being able to put a price tag with that and understand your net worth, and then start getting in your network, that's how you'll be able to start monetizing and making sure that you're doing the right thing for the right cost, so that you can leave the inheritance. As you and I both know, people want to work off of their passion, and we know passion don't always pay, but purpose does. And we know that passion is for us, but purpose is for everyone else. And then your profit is going to be for your lineages. It's going to be for your descendants, your children's children. And we read in a great book that we should leave an inheritance for our children's children.
Okay, so let's talk about the fear. When someone comes to you and they're like, you know what, Dr. Tanya, I want to do this business, but I am afraid, and they're holding on to that money like it's going to start bleeding, right? What do you say to those clients?
So when it comes to fear, like I'll just use me as an example. I was originally shy. People always chuckle when I say that, right? See, you're smiling already, right? And so what I realized is that I didn't like not having the money that I wanted over being shy. So I use that as an example when I'm talking to someone, to show them that once you open up, when you allow someone, which is what coaches do, hold you by the hand and help encourage you and give you the blueprint. Because why wouldn't we start? We wouldn't start because we're scared to what? fail. And so failing is part of the process. Everything wasn't until it is. There was a bunch of failures before it became success. That is part of the process. So as I always tell people, my life, my failures and my successes is a GPS for someone else's success. And so when you have the right coach that can tell you what to do, when to do it, why not to do it, will help you eliminate some of that fear. Because it's not a question, can I do it? They already know that they can do it. But the question is, can I do it long enough to sustain the lifestyle that I want? Because you can go and purchase a car, but can you maintain that car? So we can all start a business. I think at some point most of us did. We had the lemonade stands, right? We had paper routes, right? What are all of those? Those are all businesses, right? And so it's now who's teaching and keeping that going, because I used to didn't think I was creative. But now in this realm of my life, I realize that I am a visionary. What is a visionary? Someone that is creative. And so it's just the language that we're taught, and it comes from who's watering that language for you. So part of overcoming the fear is someone believing in you and helping and encouraging you and letting you know that you can do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So
Because we all have some type of fear.
yes, absolutely. And there are multiple, I guess, prongs or spokes to this wheel. And you mentioned about failing. And I know I've talked to multiple business owners who are serial entrepreneurs, okay, which means you have multiple businesses. And some will tell me that the number of times that those businesses failed. And I just want to just put a pin here. That doesn't have to be the only failure. That doesn't have to be the definition of failure. You start a business and then it tanks. Okay. I believe that even in the business building process, you could have a launch that failed. You didn't get the number of, say, clients. You didn't get that dollar amount. You didn't get that contract. You didn't get that brick and mortar location. It was sold underneath your nose to someone else, right? There are, I'm going to call them micro failures along the way, and how you deal with each one of those determines the level that you now get to. If you have multiple failures and then you decide, you know what, I'm going to tap out, you'll never get there. But there's a spectrum of the failure. And I don't know if you want to pick that up and run with it.
So I always say failure is not final, right? Failure is part of the growing process. And so if you think about the light bulb, or you even just think about the Apple phone, right? Why do you think we have upgrades? It's not that it was failure. And I think part of failure comes from the word perfectionist. We want everything to be perfect before we move forward. So I think when you understand what the process is, then you understand. So prime example, none of the businesses that I started, and I think this would be a good time that I interject all the businesses that I started. So I've done dump trucks, tow trucks, assistant livings, hair salons, nail tech, med tech, eyelash infusionist, medical billing, real estate, as well as notary, right? And that's just the ones that I can remember. And none of those businesses were failure. I made money at every one of those businesses. It wasn't until I was ready to maybe let that business go that I did something else. Like, prime example, when we started really on my marriage, we were getting married. I didn't want to keep the salon anymore because it took a lot of my time. We were there on weekends and things like that. So I chose to sell it when it was at a good time, right? But if I chose to sell it before I got all my rate of return back, then the average person would say that's a failure, right? But it was something that I actually did until I didn't want to do it anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think sometimes it's just like the stock market. If you buy high and you sell low, then you're not getting your money back. But if you buy low and sell high, then you got your money back. And so I think when it comes to failure, sometimes we choose to get out at the wrong time. And it's because we live in a microwavable society that we think everything has to be immediate gratification. But when you understand the long haul in the things that you're doing and do it until it reaches the point that you want it to be at, then it's not necessarily a failure. I look at those things as part of the process, part of the experience.
Yes, and part of the strategy.
Absolutely.
All right. So we want to, we're doing the business. We're looking for success. Somewhere along the lines, there's going to be some failure, but there's a strategy to it. There is a strategy to it. And so let's talk about this other question. The question I have is there are pros and cons of having a business other than what we may see right up front. Yeah. Yes, you can make money and then you can lose money, right? That's a pro and a con. Can you dive into this deeper and share what are some of the other pros of pros and cons of starting a business?
So I think that's an excellent question. And one of the things that I would like to say is that I actually have been a serialpreneur for since my teenage years, right? I started a lot of business, of course, from you hearing some of the ones that I named, they were all colliding together, right? And it wasn't until I lost my son that I realized that I really wasn't a business owner. I was an entrepreneur with a bunch of businesses. And what that means for my people that may go to AHA later is that the moment I couldn't work those businesses, my income took a turn because I was the sole proprietor of those businesses, right? And so one of the pros is if you just start with entrepreneurship, which when you look up the word, the root of entre means entry level. We start at the entry level, and most people never grow from that entry level. What I encourage people is to really become that business owner of the business that you're actually starting, and starting with the end in mind. Because most people say, well, I'm going to do this and never retire, right? So part of the pro and con is you're the boss. But that pro is also a con because if you can't work, you're the boss, right? Or if you don't have that discipline. So starting a business, but yet if you don't have self-discipline to get up and to go to work and do those things that you did when you had a 9 to 5, that could be a hindrance to your business. But it's also allows you to do what you want, when you want, how you want, with whoever you want to do. So then it's a pro in that aspect, right? But again, this is why we need coaches, because the coach helps you with putting those self disciplines in place, right? And so a lot of the pros is, I can tell you my worst day in my business still beats my best day on somebody's 9 to 5 because of the amount of money that you can make, because of the flexibility, and most important, because I can leave an inheritance. And at some point, I want to talk about that, leaving an inheritance and what's the difference between a legacy and an inheritance. For a long time, I thought they was one and the same. But understanding that as a job, I can only leave bills. I will probably not ever have gotten to the point where I could leave a will for my children's children just working a 9 to 5. And then we got to understand the timing of what we're in. When we were growing up, we had factories, people worked in the cotton fields. And then we moved from that to the government working. And then we moved from government working to entrepreneurship. This is the educational realm that we're going through right now. So if we don't understand the timings that we're in and how to monopolize off those timings, then we get stuck in the capsule.
Mm-hmm. So I want to take up just a pause for a second. I'm seeing some good comments in the chat. I see Dr. Tammy in the house. I see Linda Taylor in the house. I also see who else we have in the house. We have music. Hello, music. Good to see you. And so I want to just pause for a second. And I want you mentioned you said something, and then you kind of moved on. And what you said was when you lost your son. And we're talking about the difference between leaving a legacy and leaving an inheritance. And I want you to say more about losing your son, and then I want you just to move into the legacy versus the inheritance.
So when I lost my son, I became emotionally unemployable, which means I could not work a conventional job anymore, not a 9 to 5. There are days that when you lose someone close to you, and even though for me it was my son, I understand when you lose a mom, when you lose a father, when you lose an aunt or a grandmother, whoever it is that you love, and you love them unconditionally, it takes a toll on you physically, mentally, and definitely financially. And so that's when I realized no matter what I had in place, it was not enough. for the time that you need to really go through proper bereavement. And so at that very moment, I realized even though I had started all these businesses, even though I had made great income, even on my 9 to 5, I made 6 figures, it was not enough to sustain my family. So all it takes is one financial catastrophe that can change anyone's financial trajectory. And so that's why I help people be proactive, put things in place. What do you have in place? I give people business CPR, right? Help them with the clarity, help them with the processes, and definitely the resources so that they can upscale their business and their life. And so when I lost my son, I realized that I was just an entrepreneur with a bunch of businesses. It wasn't that I was a business owner. A business owner would allow me to take the time off to go through the proper process of losing a loved one, going through my bereavement process, and still making income, still making money. Not having an employer calling me, asking me when I'm coming back to work. Mm-hmm. And even though I had the right things in place, and that's what I hate to see. I see so many families and business owners, we have the right things in place. We're doing the right things, but we're not going to get the right results.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, my condolences to you in the loss of your son. But it brings home that point is that we want to be able to step away and let it run so that we can heal, so that we can take a deep breath and we're not intimately tied. There was a statistic that I saw was that 3%, only 3% of African American women own mature businesses. Mm-hmm. So as we go through this process of starting your business, and the rate of businesses that are starting are going up, but there's the sustainability that you spoke to, there's the longevity that you spoke to, and so it's that part is a little bit beyond the scope of what we are talking about tonight, but it's still important. So I want to just pivot. Let's talk about, how do you start a business? Okay. Well, you know what, before we do that, I want to ask you a question. We're talking about Up Sis Up. What does Up Sis Up mean to you in terms of business startup, in terms of entrepreneurship?
Well, for me, I feel like it's about encouraging women to go after exactly what they want to go after. And I feel that us learning the woman code, we always heard about the man code, right? Growing up, those men will stick together. Richard, I'm not bashing you, right? But those women will stick together. I mean, those men will stick together, but us women didn't really know how to do that. We wasn't taught to do that. We would look at each other. And I think even for me, that's why I think I connect with so many boss women, because I'm going to give you a compliment. I'm going to look at you. Hey, gorgeous, you looking good today, sis. Right. And they're not used to that, because that's not what we're used to doing in our community. We're used to saying, look at her. Look at this. What's that? And tearing each other down instead of building each up, instead of edifying one another. So for me, sis is like, babe, hold your head up. You got this. You can do this. Look, let me grab your hand. What can I add to you so that we both can win? Because I feel that there can be a situation that is a win-win-win scenario. You win, I win, and our community wins when we win together. So that's what sis, that's what it means to Tanya T. Wise.
I love it. I love it. All right. So I want you to get your notebooks ready, okay? Because Dr. Tanya, she's about to break it down. How do you start a business? Dr. Tanya, take it away.
One of my favorite things to talk about is, how do you start a business? The very first thing is, I would tell you to look in your own arsenal. What is it that you're good at? And then I would tell you to go serve someone else doing that very thing so that you can learn the ropes. Who is already doing what it is that you want to do? Learn from that person. Offer your services for free to get better in that area, because there are some blind spots that you're unaware of that even exist, right? And so through that process, you'll be able to take notes. You will be able to serve someone, because when you do something inward for someone else, guess what? Someone's going to do it for you when you open your business. And so I would say, do the research, do the demographics, do the psychographics. on your clients. What's your target market? Who do you want to serve? I hear people say, I can help everybody, right? Even I used to say that, right? I have all my licenses. So when I sit down with somebody, I can help them. But at the end of the day, who is your avatar? Who is the people that you want to help? So once you've done your research, once you volunteered, then we're ready to go ahead and start doing some of the actual business, because some of us has already been doing these businesses, right? But we're doing hair out of our kitchen, we're doing mechanic work out of our garages, and we think we're getting over on IRS because we're not reporting these things, but we're actually losing money because there's benefits from being in business, right? And so, with that being said, after you can do your research, after you've been working on it, right? Then, one of the major things you want to do is develop and register your business. What kind of business do you need to register your business as? Do you want to be a LLC? Should you be a sole proprietor, a corporation, or S corp? Once you do those things, you do want to apply. Understand it. And I know some of us go and get an EIN number and a website and all these things, but I feel like we do these things out of order. We go and get these things. We spend all this money thinking that we got to get a website, and that's not necessarily what you need to do right away. You need to make some money first before you go spend some money. And one of the major things is that I want to teach everybody is to make sure that you pay yourself first. I see time and time again that we pay ourselves last, which means we don't get paid at all, because after we pay everybody else, if it's nothing less, we never get paid. And you start that cycle and you blink your eye, and 10 years, 20 years later, and you've never gotten paid from your business, right? And so the other part is, what products and services, and how can you launch those products and services so that people can know that you're in business? And I will tell you, there's three people that you want to start right out with. You want to make sure you have an attorney, which you can start an attorney through, even if you partner with me through our process, like $35 versus $3,500 retainer, right? The other part is you want to have a CPA or an accountant, someone that can help manage your books. You also want a VA or someone that can help you make sure that you're keeping your books in order for your CPA, because that's going to save you money in the long run. If you just show up at your CPA door with a shoebox of a bunch of receipts, your price just went up. So understanding that you do need to manage, even if you just start out with a spreadsheet, and I do give away a spreadsheet free that people can start just making sure that they're tracking their expenses and have those expenses, because when you sit down with a CPA, all they want is the bottom line. When you sit down with your attorney, they want to know that you know these things. This is what helps save you money. And so one of the parts that I love is just helping people make money, help them monetize the money, and most importantly, help them manage the money, because you can make $1 million, but if you're not saving any of that money, you really didn't make $1 million. So starting a business just starts with an idea, and you got to write it down. You got to have a clear picture, your vision statement, your mission statement, and then share that with other people, because some other people want to be a part of that. And then making sure that you have a bank account. And I can tell you, people that I sit down with, that's one of the last things they go and get is a business bank account. They just use what they have. They use their sock drawer, right? But that doesn't show you that you're going to be a big corporation. That shows you that you're still looking at this as a hobby. And I will tell you, one of the major things is, I sit down with businesses, I see that people get confused with a hobby versus a part-time business versus a full-fledged business. And sometimes because they're still treating this like a hobby. But like I had to tell a recent client that, no, you have already established your EIN number, you have business credit. Those things mean that you're part-time in your business, and you just still want to love your business, but your business is not a hobby. A hobby is when we're charging people and we don't have any of these other structures in place, which could land you incarcerated. It could land you with a hefty fine if Uncle Sam find out this is what you're doing.
Okay, I need you to repeat that last part.
Sure. if you're doing a hobby and you do not put the proper things in place and you're charging people, it could land you incarcerated or charged a hefty fine. because when they come out with these LPP loans and these grants and you go and applying for these things saying that now I'm in business, but yet you haven't filed any taxes showing that you've been in business, this is why people get in trouble. And we want to encourage you not to do that. We want to encourage you that you can do certain proper things. Understand when you need an EIN number and what is an EIN number versus a Dun and Bradstreet number. What is personal credit versus business credit? Those type of things help you, as you were talking about earlier, Dr. Marcea, understand when you have a full-fledged business versus we're in business.
Okay, all right. So let's rewind a little bit. Okay, I heard you say that we jump out, we get the EIN number, we get the website, we get all the things. But you're like, you know what? You don't have to get it all, but what is the basic? And then you mentioned the whole Uncle Sam and taxes and incarceration, all that other stuff. Okay, clear it up. What is it if you are charging people? What's the minimum that you should have in place?
So, as I said, you want to have someone that's filing your taxes, whether you do it yourself or whether you have a CPA, right? If you're collecting money from people, you want to have an invoice and you want to be able to give them a receipt. I can't tell you how many people that, even just right now with social media, we get flyers and stuff done and people don't send you an invoice. Right? You want to make sure that you have a way to collect funds from people that's a legitimate way so you can track the money that you have coming in and then subtract the expenses that you have going out so that you can report those things on your taxes. So at minimum, you want to have some type of system where you can send an invoice and also receive money so you can track that money that you have coming in. That's part of the bare minimum. You can use your social security number. You don't have to have an EIN number starting out. A lot of people don't understand an EIN number is saying that you're going to probably have employees. So you don't have to have that starting out. Okay. But it's a way to protect your business by having one and showing yourself that you're starting out, looking at yourself going to be a corporation at some point. Right. But at the very minimum, because your question was, what's the minimum? The minimum is making sure you're managing your bookkeeping, your expenses, and your income, and then your services to your clients, making sure that you're giving them a model of service that you would want to receive from someone that you're paying your money to.
Got you. All right.
Those are the bare minimums. Having a CPA, someone that's going to file your taxes, or if you're going to use tax software like TurboTax or H&R Block or some sort of tax software. Those are the major things that I would start out with, and then having a bank account.
Got you. All right. So I want somebody in the chat. One is that you have to have bookkeeping and a reliable way to invoice, get receipts, and then have a separate bank account earmarked for your business.
Absolutely. And you can you can start out with just a spreadsheet. I mean, even when you move to an actual accounting type software like QuickBooks or any of those things, you still going to need your spreadsheet. So starting out with a spreadsheet, you're going to always use a spreadsheet. And people like myself, we have spreadsheets that we give you. Your CPA probably have a spreadsheet where you can still just keep everything in the spreadsheet, even as you transition over, because that's just it's a go-to.
What is you mentioned that there was a free spreadsheet that you have access to. Can you give us that information and also share with us what actually is on the spreadsheet?
So on your spreadsheet, it's a way for you to track, and the particular one that I have, you're able to track everything on the spreadsheet. You can do your personal expenses, your personal utility bills, and everything that you do from food to your income on that particular one. And then I also have one that has what we call profit and loss statement, where you're able to track your expenses, and it will also calculate with your profit and loss, which you would need for when you start asking for a loan or business credit, or even if you want to purchase a car. But it helps you just track any expenses that you would have. And then I have one that I utilize that you can also have brainstorming and your social media and everything on that as well. I call that the ultimate My Planner, right? Because you're able to put everything on there because it has unlimited sheets. You don't run out of sheets that you can have in an Excel sheet.
Okay. Can you share what that link is?
Sure. So if you text 202-519-9996, the word plan, you'll be able to get that
Okay. Can you get that number again?
spreadsheet.
And can I have
Sure.
Ronnie, if you could put that in the chat for me as well? She's
It's
my awesome
202
moderator. Okay. 202
519
519
9996.
9996. All right. All right. So awesome. So I also want to talk about, you mentioned LLC, you mentioned S Corp, you probably mentioned some other acronym. Can you share what the differences are?
Sure. So the proprietor, sole proprietor means it's just you. It's just a single person that's running that organization. The problem with that only is if someone wants to sue you, they're suing your business as well as you because it's just you. LLC is a limited liability corp, and it allows you to have other partners, but it also limits the amount that someone can get from you. And that's the one that you see a lot of people start out with. And then you have what we call an S corp and a C corp. Those are corporations. You can have an LLC and still file taxes as a corp. The C corp is double taxation. You get taxed at the corporate level as well as your personal level, but there's still some benefits in that. And then you have the S corp, which is most popular, that most people run with their LLCs, and that gives you more of a corporate benefit.
Okay. All right. So that's good information. Okay. So you mentioned early on, you said something about, all of the money that it takes to kind of set up a business. Can you define what all of the money is? What's the range? What's the minimum that you would need in order to set up that business?
So it really depends on the type of business that you want to set up. I will tell you, when I opened up the salon, it cost me somewhere between $5,000 to $10,000 to open up the salon. I was able to open up a salon in 60 days from thought to on paper to the doors opening. And we used our own money. Well, I used my own money. She was the person that had been in business. So she was the person that ran the operation more so because I still worked a full-time job, but I was the person that put up the money to do it. And so there's several ways you can do that. You can either find a location. I'm just using this one as an example because you got people that want to do salons or braiding or something. You find a location, but I always highly recommend start somewhere where you don't have a brick and mortar, where you don't have rent. If you can do it in a frame where you keep your expenses low, I feel that's the best way to start out. If you can start out in your home and use part of the money that you're making, a piece of that to go to the side, then I feel like that's the best way to go. I know someone that wants to start a floral shop and she wants to go and buy the brick and mortar and do all that. But I feel like if you can operate out of your residence first and save that money and bank that money so that you would already have 3 to 6 months of rent when you go into a place, because they're going to want deposit and they're going to want first month's rent right off the top. And then as you saw with COVID, there's no operation that stopped you from paying your rent, even though it was COVID. Whether you had just signed your lease or you had been there for 3 to 5 years, you still had to pay the rent. And so if you had a business and you wasn't even in there to make that business, now those is why so many businesses close, so many restaurants close. Mm-hmm. So I feel like if you could start out where you don't have that many expenses, that's the best way to start first. Mm-hmm. If you could rent out a space from someone, of course they're looking at it as a win because they have the space and they've been paying the rent. But like when I first started, I was looking for operations that worked 9 to 5 so I could run my business from their 5 to 9. I was the after hour type of business where I could go in there and it's extra money for them because they normally aren't in there during those hours. Right. So those are the type of places that I would say start out. How can you keep your expenses low, but you can make the money and then save some of the money and then allow yourself then to position yourself, because you can always use your liquid money to get a loan, because that's also what they would consider you having something as collateral. So gotcha. Collateral loans, they give you a little less of a rate of return on your money because you have collateral. Now, who wouldn't want you to default on what they think is money? which is a
Absolutely.
whole nother conversation of what's real money and what's not.
Absolutely. So I want to open up the phone line as well as the chat. If someone could also put in the number, if you have a question you want to ask that question live, we can do that as well. But right now we're just going to open up the chat. And as one of the things that you mentioned, Dr. Tanya, is you said, if you could do your business out of your house, that is probably the preferred way. And I want to know, what are some of um, the concerns or the benefits of, or what you have to have in place in order to have a home-based business?
So depending on, again, the type of business, right? So I'm just going to go off of some of the low cost businesses that we can start, like MLMs, right? You can start an MLM. You don't have to worry about zoning and things like that. When you start talking about daycare and salons and things like that, you do have to worry about zoning. So I'm talking about more like, if you could start some type of notary business, some type of multi-level marketing type of business where you're doing Mary Kay, Avon, life insurance, notary, any of those type of businesses, you don't have to worry about zoning. So part of the pros with that is you get a lot of write-offs from your home having that business. So let's just say you have an office. If you have an office and that office is 10% of your home, now you also could possibly write off 10% of all your expenses as well. So that gives you more benefits of a write-off for your home. And it also helps you save money from being able to not have to pay rent somewhere. So that's where I would say start out. It also allows you to test the waters of what type of business owner you are
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's
before you jump out there and have all these expenses, and then you realize that you don't have all the self-discipline that you need to be in business.
That's good. That's good advice. Good advice. So let's talk about the type of business. And you spoke to this a little bit. I want to go back to this. You said, well, let me ask the question a different way. We're here, all businesses are here to solve a problem. What advice do you give to someone who isn't doing the business that they're passionate about, but they're doing a business because they know that people would want to purchase whatever it is they're doing?
Mm. So I feel like that business eventually is going to die out. I think, not I think, what I know, a lot of people do business with me because they can tell I'm passionate about what I'm talking about, what I'm helping them with. And people like to do business with people that know that people care. And so when you do business out of not caring about the business that you're doing business just to make money, it's going to show. It's going to show in your work ethic. It's going to show in your responses. And then most importantly, it's going to show in your relationship with people. And when you don't have relationship with people, it's not going to sustain. So that goes back to what we originally say, that you can start a business, but is it going to be a business that sustains through the process of true testament? And that, to me, is where it's not going to stay as a business that's going to withstand, because people are going to see right through that. We
Mm-hmm.
see through people, and we see through how those people are. Like, even what you talking to me tonight, you can hear the back. Like, even if I'm like trying to be calm and collective here, but you can hear and see that I'm passionate about helping people
Yes.
get to where they want to be, because I truly believe we all could live our best life and leave an inheritance, but we don't do it. And it's because we get stuck in doing things. It's just like even having a job. Most people, as we say, do enough for the boss to keep giving them a check, and the boss pay them enough for the people to keep coming back tomorrow. But it's
Yeah.
not a win-win circumstance.
Yeah. 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 Thank you for
That's
saying
why
that.
they back in, so that when it's time to leave, they can pull out as fast as they can, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And if I could add, the when you're not doing, when you're not passionate about it, you said it's going to die out and people see it. But there's going to be the times when the business, like when we first jump out, everybody's say, oh, excited. Oh, yeah, you got this business. We're going to come and support you. And then all of a sudden, something happens. And maybe COVID happens. Maybe the costs go up. Maybe you get a dry spell. Maybe whatever the maybes, you hit a rough spell. And when that thing drops, if you're not passionate about it, if it doesn't wake you up in the middle of the night to go and keep running, if it's not something that you're saying, you know what, if it's not in here, you're going to say, you know what, I'm going to tap out and I'm going to go and get my 9 to 5, or I'm going to go do something else. And so that is so important. So thank you for sharing that information. So good. Now I'm going to go to the phone lines, to the chat. There's a question that says, where do you locate the appropriate grants for your business?
So a lot of times it comes through the state. It depends on what state you're in. Each state has different resources for each and every person, right? And so if you're in Maryland, I'm gonna talk about Maryland because we're in Maryland. There's a few companies that we utilize that actually has everything that you need. They help you with your vision. They help you with your mission. You can use their tools to be able to put these things in place. They even help pay for part of your coaching. And so those companies, you can even Google grants for those particular things, but then you're going to need to have someone that can help you fill out the paperwork for those grants. And this is why I say it's so important to understand how to manage your money, because you're going to have to pay for these things. This is why that's more important than having a website. Now, once you start applying, then you're going to need a website, but don't spend money on a website, or start out with a 1 to 2 page website, something that shows that you're in business before you go and get a full-fledged, so that you can make sure that you have everything you need for those grants and what they're looking for. And again, you're going to want the experiences. Who have you worked for? Who have you helped before you're asking for someone to give you a grant?
Okay, that's an added tidbit that I wasn't aware of. Yes, that's so good. So I want to know. So I know that you started off, you had some failure, or you had some lots of businesses, and now you where you are now, you got the DR in front of your name, and you've got successful businesses. How can someone work with you if they're ready to start that business? If they're trying to figure out an S corp versus an LLC, if they're trying to figure out how to do the bookkeeping, how do they get a hold of you, and what do you provide?
So the Tanya T. Wise Enterprise has an all new beginning piece. And the reason that we have an all new beginning piece is we understand that our clients are at different walks of life in their business, and trying to figure out, I hate the word balance because we don't have a balance, but you have a harmony into establishing your work life business. And so with that harmony, understanding the next level. And so we have a 12-month cohort. We even have a 8-week program where you can just get started, so that you can start putting these things in place, so you'll know what structure works for you, as well as the mindset that it's going to take for you to start this business, right? Or even to elevate your business. Maybe you're already doing it. Maybe you love to bake cakes and you've been baking cakes, and people are calling you to do the cakes for holidays or birthdays and things like that. But now you're like, well, how do I start to monetize and do this for weddings and all those things? Because the price of eggs have gone up. The price of what you can charge just doing those regular birthday cakes is totally a different dynamic than what you could charge beforehand. So now you got to show that you can be in business, even just baking cakes, right? And so reaching out to us, texting that number 202-519-9996, and put the word coaching in there. We can help you see where you are, identify blind spots. Again, give you CPR if you need CPR, you already have a business and you need clarity, you need processes or resources, then we're going to help you identify those things and then give you what you need to accomplish the very goals that you want to accomplish.
And tell me again the name of your enterprises.
My enterprise is Tanya T. Wise Enterprise, and the name that houses is Wise Minded under All New Beginnings. So Wise Minded is us helping you be wise, make wise decisions, and moving your business and elevating it and scaling it to the next level.
Got it. All right. Now, I think Dr. Tanya has a free gift she wants to give away. But before you do that, I want to know if you could rewind and talk to your younger self. What advice would you give yourself about entrepreneurship, about business management that would be a game changer?
I hate to say this because it's going to sound like a cliche, but I wish I would have dreamed bigger. I
Mm.
have accomplished everything that I've been wanting to do. I do it. And so, even this doctor in front of my name, this was something I started 10 years ago. I live in a house that I once only dreamed of living in. I drive my dream vehicle. I have a dream husband, and so I wish I would have just dreamed bigger. I wish I would have been more concise in what I wanted from my husband. Because what I wrote down in 2007, I have, right? But there was a few dollar signs that I missed, Dr. Marcea.
A couple of commas.
I love to have humor. Like I mean, listen, you get to live every day, right? We only die once. And so it's like, I wish I would have just dreamed bigger. I would have told myself to dream bigger and to go faster.
Mhm.
There is a time sensitive moment. Your bounce back is time sensitive. We're all going to have adversity. But what makes the difference between us women and the other boss women is your time sensitive. How quick do you bounce back from your adversity? And so
Mhm.
that is one of the things. I would bounce back even faster than I bounce back now, and I bounce back pretty fast. And
Mhm.
so those are the things that I would tell myself, that everything is figure outable.
Mhm.
Everything.
Mhm. So I want, if you're those in the chat, I want you to put bounce back. And I also want to say, if you thought about doing a business, or in the past you didn't, or you've had some hardship, or you had a detour, you've been in a ditch, okay, there's always the bounce back. You it you may not be a spring chicken, but there's still some bouncing back that you can do. It's never too late to steer the car back into the lane. If you have that business idea, if you have that concept, if you have that passion, that purpose, lean in. Okay. Pick up the phone, call Dr. T. We have the number. You can text a plan. You can do all the things. It's never too late to bounce back. And you even mentioned dreaming bigger, right? You mentioned, maybe early you could have dreamed bigger, but you can start dreaming today. You can dream
Yes.
today and achieve more than you thought. And so, Dr. Tanya, tell us about the I think are you doing the free gift, or are you doing the bundle? What are we doing?
I want to give away a bundle.
Okay,
To
okay.
the first person in the chat, I want to give away a bundle. I can give away the free gift, but at the end of the day, I found that giving away the free gift, most people aren't going to do anything with it. They download it, and that's as far as it go, right? And so if we had, for the first 5 people that say in the chat, I'm ready, then we can give them the free gift. But I really want to give away this bundle. Can I tell you what you're going to get in this bundle?
Okay. So before you do that, I want you to say, if you say I'm ready, and you're going to get the free gift, but then
Yes.
we're also going to give away a bundle.
Yes.
Okay, and I have a thought for the bundle person, but go ahead. So go
Okay.
ahead.
So if they say I'm ready in the chat, we're going to give away the free gift. The free gift is a vision success, and it tells you how to put your vision to work, right? What are the 7 steps that you need to get started? And even if you already have a business, it is so wise to reset. Most of us write a vision or a mission statement and never go back and look at it, right? So these 7 steps will even help you if you're already in business, but it's going to help you hit the reset so that you can do what? Level up. How many of you are ready to level up? How many of you are ready to level up? Hit level up in the chat if you're ready to level up.
That's right. Level up, level up, level up. We got Sierra in the house. Level up.
My favorite song.
love it. I see a bounce back. I had start here. We're still waiting on the
I'm
level
ready.
up, and I'm
I
ready. Okay, so
ain't
why don't you
ready.
talk to us about the bundle? What's in the bundle?
So in the bundle, you'll get an interview, which is going to have over 5,000 viewers on Roku, Apple TV. I'm sorry, 10 million viewers. Listen to me, 5,000, right? 10 million viewers. You'll get that interview. You also will get a consultation with me for 30 minutes. You'll get how I paid off $75,000 in debt in 12 months. You'll get the e-vision book, which is my free giveaway. And then you'll get hot off the press, just released. I'm just announcing it. The ultimate upgrade in life and business, how to transform your life for your dream life by Tanya T. Wise. You'll get this free book.
Woo!
One person will get this free book. And these are
Look,
tools that I use to come over adversity. And so I'm telling you, it's 12 chapters. The first thing says the things I wish I knew. So it was so appropriate when you asked me, what would I tell my younger self, right? I almost quit. It's one of the chapters. I was knocked down, but not knocked out. How overcome life challenges. Healing is healthy. Finding your balance. Born to be different. What to do when you're down. What is stopping you. How to buy back your time, and the wise word of starting a business. So we're talking about starting a business. It's going to tell you about starting a business. And then number 11 is how to level up. And then
I
12
love
is the conclusion of everything that we went over.
I
So,
love it. I love it. I love it. So we have some I'm ready's in the chat. And so how are they going to get the free gift?
so if they go to www.tanyatwisefreegift.com, they'll get the free gift.
Awesome. And so I have someone for the bundle, and she is the one who asked the question earlier, and her name is Sharon from Cincinnati. She is the winner of the bundle. It's like Christmas over here. All the things that you were giving out. And so we're going to get that information to her so she can get the bundle. And tell us again how someone can reach out to you in the name of your program.
So two things. One for Sharon that won the bundle. If she could just text bundle to 202-519-996, we can make sure that she gets all of her items. And then for anyone that wants a plan, they want to sit down, they want to get their breakthrough session with me, they can also text plan to 202-519-9996. And then anybody that's ready to start their business and they just, want a consultation, they can put consultation to that same number, 202-519-9996. And then
Awesome.
you can also visit me on my website at tanyatwise.com for those of you that want to go to my website.
This has been amazing. Thank you for the knowledge, the gems that you have dropped. For those that are ready to launch their business, we are counting it down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. All right. Until next time, Dr. Tanya, it's been great. I'll see you in these social media streets.
Yes.
Right,
Again, thank you. It's such an honor to be sharing this platform with you and you thinking of me. Thank you so much, Dr. Marcea Whitaker.
You are so welcome. Until next time, take care. And there you have it. That was Dr. Tanya T. Wise. She is the Wise Money Strategist. She was dropping gems, giving information for those that are either you have a business or you're trying to start a business. She gave you some tips to kind of steer away from trouble. She gave you the blueprint for how the steps on how to get to that business, that as you are that entrepreneur. And so that is what we do here at Up Sis Up. We help you to rise up. We help you to stand up, to speak up, and most of all, we help you to boss up, both in life and in leadership. Join me here every Tuesday at 8 p.m. I am Dr. Marcea. I am your host and also the CEO of Girl Boss Life Academy. And so we are here helping women. This is Women's Empowerment Radio here at the MSE Network. I am signing off and I will see you next week. Take care. See ya.